The conflict has so far had a dramatic effect on the price of oil due to fears that the US and Israel's huge military campaign could spread across the world's most important oil-producing region. Brent crude jumped more than 10% when trading started in Asia, but has since dropped a bit, now trading at around $79 a barrel. On Sunday, 3 cargo vessels were attacked near the vital Strait of Hormuz as Iran attempts to choke off global oil supplies. Roughly a fifth of the world's oil transits through the strait, which has come to a near standstill.
Global oil prices just surged after US-Israeli strikes on Iran triggered instability near the Strait of Hormuz, the narrow passageway responsible for roughly 20% of the world's oil supply. If that choke point becomes unstable, even for a few weeks, global markets panic, tankers slow down, insurance costs spike, oil jumps, gas prices follow, and when that happens, Washington starts looking closer to home. That's where this gets serious for us. Because suddenly, 2 Caribbean nations, Trinidad and Tobago and Guyana, matter a lot more than people realize. Before we go deep, make sure you subscribe right now so you don't miss the next update. We're breaking this down in real time. No hype, just straight analysis you can understand while driving, working, or just catching up on what's really going on. Let's slow this down and think clearly. The Strait of Hormuz is basically the world's oil highway. About 1 out of every 5 barrels of oil passes through that narrow stretch between Iran and the Gulf states. If Iran starts harassing tankers, using drones, mining waters, or just threatening closure, markets react instantly. Even if nothing fully shuts down, fear alone pushes prices higher. Oil doesn't wait for proof, it moves on risk. And right now, risk is rising. So the US has a problem. America doesn't want $90 or $100 oil going into an election season. Voters don't care about geopolitics. They care about gas prices. So what does Washington do? It looks for stable, friendly suppliers close to home. That's where the Caribbean enters the chat. Now think about this strategically. The US has been trying to reduce dependence on unstable regions for years. The Middle East has always been volatile. Wars, sanctions, proxy fights. Every time things heat up, energy markets shake. But the Western Hemisphere, that's different. Shorter shipping routes, political influence, military reach, stronger diplomatic ties. So when Gulf supply looks shaky, the US starts thinking about neighbors. And that's why Guyana's oil boom suddenly isn't just a business story, it's a security story. Guyana is pumping over 500,000 barrels a day and rising fast. In a tight market, that growth becomes strategic. Washington will want production steady, maybe even accelerated. More protection, more cooperation, more quiet deals behind closed doors. Now let's talk Trinidad and Tobago. People forget Trinidad already has LNG infrastructure. That matters. Liquefied natural gas is critical when global supply chains tighten. If Middle Eastern LNG shipments face disruption, buyers scramble, Europe scrambles, Asia scrambles, and the US looks at who can move gas quickly without crossing half the planet. Trinidad is right there in the Caribbean basin. Short routes, existing plants, experienced workforce. That's leverage. But leverage only matters if leadership moves smart. Here's where the political layer comes in. Energy isn't just about barrels, it's about power. When prices rise, producer nations gain influence. Guyana's revenue grows. Trinidad's gas becomes more valuable, but higher oil also brings inflation. Jamaica, Barbados, smaller CARICOM states that import fuel, they feel pressure. Electricity costs go up. Food transport costs rise, governments face angry voters. So within CARICOM you could see quiet tension, producers benefiting, importers hurting. That changes regional politics. Now let's zoom out even further. Ask yourself this, is this just about oil or is this about alignment? When global tensions rise, big powers expect clarity from smaller states. Who are you aligned with? Who supplies who? Who gets priority contracts? If the US sees Guyana and Trinidad as strategic buffers against Middle East volatility, that likely means deeper security cooperation, more diplomatic engagement, maybe even increased naval presence in the region. Not dramatic headlines, quiet shifts. That's how strategy works. And here's the part most people won't say out loud. Every crisis reshuffles influence. If oil stays high for months, Guyana's sovereign wealth fund swells faster. Infrastructure expands. Foreign companies lean in harder. The US wants stability. China wants access. Europe wants supply diversity. The Caribbean stops being peripheral and becomes central in energy chess. That doesn't mean conspiracy in a dramatic sense, it means interests overlap. And when interests overlap, pressure follows. Think about insurance rates for tankers in the Gulf right now. Think about how traders price risk. Even rumors can move billions of dollars. So imagine if there are more drone strikes near shipping lanes. Imagine if refineries in Saudi Arabia get hit again. Markets don't wait for long investigations. They spike. And every $10 jump in oil changes national budgets. It changes trade balances. It changes election dynamics. That's why this moment matters more than the headlines suggest. Now let's talk everyday reality. If you're driving listening to this, you're probably wondering what this means for regular people. It means watch fuel prices, watch electricity rates, watch food costs, watch government messaging.